every single day. Like, I did not want to live anymore. And I don't know how close I was to that edge, but I was so deep in the darkness that there was only one little step that I would have to take and just vanish. And I came back from that. And everyone that gives up their addiction and their drinking, you see the darkest of the darkness and come back from that. If you do that, like, that's something to be proud of. That is like, it is such a beautiful thing, and it's so heavy and so intense. You should be proud to say, yeah, I saw death and I looked it right in its face and I decided, no, I'm going to the light, baby. I'm out of here. After my accident, when I was still in a wheelchair and I had no money, I was as happy as could be. When my money finally came through, I started to fall apart. I was miserable for 6 to 8 months after I got my money. To really sum it up, I just want to help people. I just want to help make people's lives better. And I get to do that. I can do that right now. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of sacrifice along the way. But I'm willing to make those sacrifices because I'm going to be giving my money away too, which feels crazy. But there's this bigger force that has taken over and said, you get to buy your van, you get to go have fun. But you're going to have to help people along the way, and you're going to have to give them money, and then it will be clear that that's even more valuable than your fun little adventures. And if at the end of it all, nothing happens, and I just spend a year traveling and helping people, and that's all it ever is, I'm not going to regret that. Like, there's no way I'll regret that. That'll be, I'll look back on that as the coolest year of my life. So I'm in a win-win situation right now, and I just can't wait to get started. There we go. She's cranking. All right. Pretty good. Seems like it's pretty hidden. Is this thing on? 1, 2. All right.
Moving up, man. We got a new crew member.
Good. Hairstylist. I feel like I've told the story 1,000 times, but it's every time when I try to like think of it in chronological order, like I don't know where to begin. But I suppose I'll just start with the beginning of the bad stuff. Okay. Where to begin?
What's up, man? How goes it?
Crazy morning.
Yeah?
The window's kind of clean, at least.
How you feel right now, man?
Good. Ready to go. Stand.
Yep.
Hey, you guys got the... I got a bunch of those.
What?
Those 7-Eleven bags.
Oh,
I
this?
love them. Yeah.
This is the one you let me use.
Oh.
With your camera
Should be good. Oh. Go for it. Go. All right, now. Oh, there we go. I don't know how I slowly figured that out. I guess first things first, I don't want this to come across as some kind of like woe is me pity party. The intention isn't to like get any like sympathy, because I don't feel bad for myself. I'm actually happy that everything happened the way that it happened. But a pretty crazy life so far. A lot of crazy things have happened. I think it'll feel good for me to share, and then the idea that someone might hear it and either be inspired, help them get through something similar that's difficult, stuff like that. Like if it just got to one person and had a positive impact on one person, then it would make all of the suffering worthwhile.
How tall are you?
5'11".
Really?
Or so.
In a bullet point kind of fashion, I'll kind of cover it with like the most impactful or formative moments of my life. And it all starts with when I lived in the Chicagoland area, which is where I'm from. We were upper middle class family, totally normal, played sports, happy family. And then I must have been in maybe second grade, and my mom was diagnosed with cancer. But we didn't know what cancer was at that time. We just thought that she was sick, and everyone got better when they were sick. You know, it was a cold, it was a flu. We didn't know about terminal illness at that point. I remember one of the main memories from that first time that she was diagnosed was we were sitting in the family room of the house in Mallard Landings, and I guess she had just started chemotherapy and her hair was falling out, and it was kind of like they made like a joke out of it. Like it became like a party about her hair falling out. And I remember going over there and we were like pulling it out, and everyone was like kind of laughing and having fun with it. I don't know how she felt about it, but maybe she had a positive outlook, and maybe it was like that laughter in that situation was like the coping mechanism that was most effective. But I remember that, and I didn't even know why that was happening. Like I just thought it was funny. I remember her being sick and having wigs and hair wraps and head wraps and, you know, hats, etc., to cover her bald head from the chemo. And then she got better. All right.
Yeah.
Tied down.
Sweet. All right, let's film the goodbye and then go get my shoes. So we got all this equipment loaded, and I forgot about my shoes. So we're gonna go get that real quick and then get on the road.
Fun.
I love you.
Thank you.
Right there.
Going to the right one.
More to the right, just a hair. A little more. It's pretty damn close. So what must have happened is after she got better, my dad decided to buy the new house, which was basically, I think it was her dream house, and he would just have done anything for her to be happy. So he ended up buying a house in like the nicest neighborhood in the area, and we moved in there. And then life continued as usual, healthy, happy kids, playing sports, nothing real significant, just a pretty run-of-the-mill suburban family. And then I don't know when or how it was announced, but she was sick again. And we weren't scared because she had been sick before and she got better. So it was kind of just like, oh, she's sick again, it's gonna be fine. And then it was the same kind of thing, like we knew she was sick, but it was pretty normal at this point. I was already used to like the hats and the wigs and all that stuff. And it just seemed like that was what she did, like that was just her. She just wore those kinds of things.
How many tattoos do you actually have?
I don't know, man.
How many sessions have you done?
I don't even know if I know that. Like my back was 6 sessions. And then, I mean, each arm, it's like, I feel like I tried to count once, but I don't, 100, 200. I actually remember this one thing that haunts me. And it's so funny because it's so nothing, but I ended up I don't know how old I must have been in 3rd grade, maybe beginning of 4th grade or the summer in between. I wanted to go to the ice skating rink with like my girlfriend and friends. And so I called my mom and I asked if I could go to the ice skating rink, and she said no. And so then, as any kid would do, I called my dad, who was at work or on his way home from work, and asked if I could go to the ice skating rink, and he said yes. So I went with his answer. And I still feel like a strange guilt to this day that I like tricked her, manipulated her, and lied. And it's like, oh, maybe she just wanted me to come home and hang out with her. But, you know, I don't beat myself up over it. It's kind of funny that it stuck with me. That little thing, like one little phone call stuck with me.
What are we doing right now, man?
We are driving to LA. We are going to revisit all of the big moments in my life, I guess, is the way to put it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So far.
So far, right. 1, 2, skip a few, 99, 100. And I just remember we went to the hospital. She was in the hospital all of a sudden. And I remember it seeming bad. It was like scary, it was dark. And then the decision was made that, like, I remember it was like, she's gonna come home with us. Like, we don't want her to have to stay in the hospital because this sucks. And that's what we thought it was. It was like, well, the hospital sucks, so she's gonna come home. But in hindsight, and I probably should have asked my dad about this, but in hindsight, it was probably like, she's terminal and she's gonna die. So there's no point in keeping her here. She might as well be at home, comfortable. And so that was the start of having a hospital bed in her bedroom. And so she was just in the bed. She was bedridden at that point. And like, even that, like, it didn't seem like that. Like, I didn't think she was gonna die. I don't think anyone did. Maybe Dad knew, but he kept it from us. And I also remember one time I played the drums, just the snare drum in school band. And I thought it was a good idea to show her the song that I learned. And so I go in there and this poor woman is literally dying in bed. And I come in there with a snare drum and start beating away, showing her the song that I learned. The most loud and abrasive, just, no one's ever been serenaded by a snare drum. That's never happened. But yeah, I knew that I wanted to be able to just get my history out and just put it out there with just like pure honesty. And it just felt like I couldn't really move forward until I had done that. And so this is the mission for this, is to be able to kind of go revisit those things with the intention of having a deeper understanding of how they impacted me, and also just to be able to tell my story. And then, you know, it's all kind of the same, repeat, rinse and repeat. Like that was just life. Maybe that was like part of what taught me like acceptance and adaptation. Like it was just like, well, this is life now. This is what's happening. Mom's sick. We have a hospital bed in the room. We go in there to talk, and that's it. But then kind of comes that I don't know how to put it, the formative day, the catalyst to the rest of my life, I guess. Yeah, there was the day of like the catalyst for everything changing forever. I don't think people really need like justification for wanting to tell their story, but there kind of is like this weird thing where like, it's like, well, what makes you so important? It's like, I don't know. I think everyone's equally as important. I think everyone's stories are obviously perfectly unique to them. But my idea with telling my story is that if there's a little element or a part of what I've experienced or thought about or whatever that could help even just one person, then it makes all of it worth it. It makes all the suffering worth it. It makes all the experience worth it if it could just help one person. So there's that motivation to share it. I remember we went over to my Uncle Tom and Aunt Karen's. they had 2 sons and a daughter that were around the same age as all of me and my siblings. And we stayed overnight, we're all hanging out, and then we were supposed to stay there 2 nights, and then we got called that we had to go home. And we're all bummed out, we just wanted to stay and have fun, and then go home kind of pissed, and then right when we walked in the front door, like I still remember this like it was yesterday. Right when you walk in, on the right side of the foyer was a stairway that went up, and then there was a little balcony up top. And my dad came, there was a hallway that ran back. From the back, it came up to the balcony, and that was where his bedroom was. And before he even came down, he just, over the balcony looking down at us, he just said, "It's Mom, she's gone." So, yeah. As far as I remember, you know, everyone just freaked out, started crying, confusion. I remember just like going and locking myself in the room. And I guess like a lot of that is, I remember that moment, and then after that, it's kind of all a blur. And I've heard so many stories about what happened and what I did and all that, but I don't know which of my memories are accurate and what are like stories that I've been told that I've then kind of manufactured into these memories. And then that started like a weird kind of like downturn in who I was as a person. Like I went from being this like happy, played sports, like teachers would say like, "Oh, when he walks in the room, his smile lights up the whole room," and all that stuff. Like I was the happy kid. And I instantly just was like the dark kid. Like I was always angry, always wanting to get into fights. I didn't pick on people, but I was ready to inflict pain upon anyone else. Like I wanted to make other people hurt because I hurt so bad. And I didn't know how else to manage that except to try to spread it out amongst other people. It was as if to say like, "I can't take this anymore. Here, you take some." Like that must have been what I was trying to do just as a little boy. Like I don't know how the hell I managed it. I don't know how the hell anyone in the family managed it. I mean, I think we did pretty well, but it's just such a crazy thing that, of course, you're going to have a negative reaction. As I was recovering and I realized that like I was going to start making YouTube videos and start this foundation, I was trying to figure out a way that I would tell the story. And like the only thing that I could really think of was to just do kind of like the interview or like the interrogation kind of style where it's just like a light on you, you just talk. Because I didn't know any other way to do it. And then after having met you, Tyler, we came up with this idea to come up and revisit, and then it just seemed like it was just like, that's exactly it. Like you have to be able to go back, you have to be able to feel it and experience it and see it, and that's how the story gets out.